Hi, this is Jim Cranston from 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com, the podcast and website about reimagining your life. Thanks for joining me today to talk about, well, changes to help your kind of energy levels and creativity. So let's get started. If you like what you hear today, please leave a like, tell your friends, send me a message. This week, we're going to be talking about how even small changes can really help your mind kind of gain a fresh perspective on the world around you and on problems and all those things that you normally deal with. As you may have noticed, I'm recording from another lovely Marriott property. Thank you, Marriott. And this beautiful sunrise behind, which is kind of blocked out because of the curtains, but you can kind of see a little bit what's going on. And I'm currently traveling for a conference and a teaching meetup that I attend every year. And it's far and away the most energy filled event in my schedule. And so that's exactly why I attend is for the energy levels. I mean, sir, from a technical standpoint, sure, you learn some things, but you can always do that on an online course. But there's something about meeting in person with a bunch of other people. The conversation flows differently, and there is an energy. We talked about it last week that your heart puts out a field that goes for feet from you. And so when you're in a room full of people like that, and they're all pumped up and energetic as well, it really helps you open your mind to other ideas and looking at other ways to solve problems. And it's really the big bonus of doing an in-person event is to the perspective you get and the energy you get from other people. And so, because as I talked about, if we stay in the same environment all the time, our mind really kind of gets into a rut because remember that our mind's whole purpose is to kind of try and keep us safe. And so when we stay in that same environment, we develop these habits and patterns, and they're familiar, but they may not really be serving us well in the long term. But when we're in new surroundings, we're doing a different routine, especially like I said, when we're surrounded by a group of super energetic people, it's a great way to open up new perspectives and truly re-energize us. Because when you do the mundane is good because it's efficient, but the mundane also becomes very limiting because there may be a different way of doing it that could make things even easier. And so when you stop looking for that, you tend not to move forward as fast in your life. And that doesn't mean this isn't talking about getting more done and making lists and things like that. This is just moving forward in finding ways to bring joy into your life. Because like I said, our brains are designed to keep us safe and doing what worked before, but we live in a changing world. And oftentimes the things that were served, that worked yesterday, that served us well yesterday, they really may not serve us well tomorrow. So you may decide to change, any reviews now or later, but it should be being done by a place of choice rather than a place of habit. And your brain will often, like I said, come up with some justification, something like this. It took some time, how to make arrangements and things like that. And your brain will come up with this justification, all sorts of reasons why you shouldn't invest in yourself in this way, because it's a big investment. I'm not at home doing other things. I'm in a different place. And so there's a real cost, a life cost to do it. And your brain will go, oh, wait, what about the money? Oh, what about the time? Oh, you should be doing this. You have other commitments. Again, that's just your brain trying to keep you safe because it knows that the other routine worked and this is something different. And so when that happens, try and push back a little bit because until you really take a break from the routine, even for half a day, it can be very difficult to get your mind to a place where it can look at problems and try and solve them with a new perspective. So today will be quite short because the concept is very simple. While there might be a cost to taking a break, there's also a hidden cost by trying to solve today's problems from yesterday's perspective. I wasn't here an hour in this particular location before I learned of some other people doing similar things to the work we do on re-envisionment, but it was from a different perspective. So obviously, naturally, I'm going to be reaching out to them to try and do some work together. But if I had just stayed home, and even if I followed it online, I wouldn't have had that conversation. I wouldn't learn that knowledge. And that's happened dozens, dozens and dozens of times already. You talk to somebody, they say something, you go off on a tangent, and kind of like, wow, that's a whole new perspective I hadn't thought of. That's a whole different aspect of looking at health that I hadn't really considered. So it's worth it to try and change up your routine fairly regularly, not extensively. I mean, it doesn't have to be crazy, but just to do something different. Go to a different place for coffee if that's what you do, or whatever, just to meet some new people, just to hear something new, just to challenge your brain a little bit. So, like you say, the breakthrough I had, they only happen when you're in a place where other people are around. And I would encourage everyone, even if you're busy, to try and take even a little bit of time and use it differently. That's to kind of switch things up. Even if you take your same routine and do it in a different order, just that is enough. It takes it out of an automation in your brain and turns it into conscious thought. And when it has conscious thought, now you're reevaluating it. It's kind of like if you always drive the same way to work, you kind of get in that habit. You kind of hardly even notice the places you're driving by, and you don't even notice they built a new exit and that saved 10 minutes off your trip because you just get in this habit. And so if you do things in a different order, your brain can't run that automation completely automatically. And it makes you think and see the world around you in a different perspective. So, like I said, even a short break can make a huge difference. So I hope with those things, gives you some ideas of ways you can do some things a couple a little bit different. And if you really can, if you can get half a day or a day or something like that, and just really take some time away, go for a walk in the woods. Go if you live in the woods, go for visit somebody in the city, whatever. Change your environment, change your perspective. If you can do it around people, even better because they'll be talking and looking at things differently than you have. And you could find all sorts of new things. And I hope you enjoy all the new things that you discover. So that's it. Your homework is to think about some way to change up your routine, force your mind to work from a slightly different perspective. Again, it could be something to trip obviously is the obvious one people always think of, but it be even something really simple, doing things in a different order, change up your schedule a little bit, take a different day off from work if you're still working, whatever, just something a little different to help your brain find a new perspective. Then extra points, like I said, if there's other people around, that's even better because when you talk to them, you'll get definitely a new perspective. Even if you end up exactly where you started, it's still worthwhile just to challenge your brain. So, as always, remember one of the best ways to care for yourself is to care for others. We often talk about ukr7.com, links to help people in Ukraine, wck.org, World Central Kitchen. They work in disaster areas, local charities, whatever you have. But just something as simple as a smile can change somebody's day for the better in ways that you can't even imagine. As always, thank you for stopping by. If you found something useful or interesting, please pass it along. If not, please let me know what you'd like to hear about. Subscribe, hit that like button. That always helps. And if not, you know, just let me know what all's on your mind. Have a great week. As always, remember to live the life that you dreamed of because that's the path to true contentment. Love and encouragement to everyone. See you next week on 7 Every Minute and 7everyminute.com. Thank you.